What's going on, everyone? We are back with another video today, and this time we are going to be covering the DPS legendaries available for Enhancement Shaman going into World of Warcraft Shadowlands. Now, generally, each class has 4 legendaries available to them baseline that are just class-specific ones, and then you have 4 that are spec-specific. Enhancement Shaman, however, is able to utilize one of the Elemental Shaman's legendaries as well, so we actually have 9 legendaries that are available for us in terms of technical DPS output, so that is definitely something to look at. That being said, for those of you that are wondering, yes, legendaries are also going to affect what talents you run. Some of these legendaries are very influential over what talent is available and can really impact the sort of use that they have to them, but we'll show you that and you'll get to see that, and we'll talk about it a little bit. Now, the first legendary we're going to look at is going to be Doom Winds. All right, this is a really popular legendary right now, and it is a very strong legendary, and it's actually gone through a really heavy nerf recently. Dropping Wind Fury Totem grants you a 100% chance to gain Wind Fury weapon and increases Wind Fury weapon damage by 25% for 12 seconds. Now, for those of you that miss Wind Fury doing lots and lots of damage, you're going to really like this legendary. The bonus damage from Wind Fury weapon actually used to be 100% for 12 seconds, but they had to nerf that pretty heavily because it was just doing way too much damage. People were hitting Wind Furies up in the realm of around 17k, and it was just absurd. So definitely something that they had to address and nerf down, but it is still very strong, and it actually gives Enhancement Shaman something that we've been lacking for a while now, and that is a consistent DPS cooldown. You're able to gain the benefits of this every 1 minute, and it lasts for 12 seconds. So 48-second downtime on the ability. So it's actually really nice and gives some nice, good, consistent DPS. So let's just start hitting some dummies here. Get these procs going. As soon as it procs, it lasts for 12 seconds. So I'm going to hit it right now so we can get max benefit out of it. And we're just going to go. As you can see, you're getting Wind Furies procking, and since things like Crash Lightning and other abilities are going to be able to go off of it, it actually does a really nice amount of damage and is going to be able to proc consistently. So now it's on cooldown right here. You'll see it right here on the right side next to your map as one of your debuffs, and you will see that Wind Fury will 100% do a large portion of your damage, if not your top damage, during that window. Having it hit as high as 2k for crits, and you're going to get multiple hits in that realm. The ideal situation with this legendary is that, let's say you proc your Forceful Winds talent and you were able to get, like 3 stacks really quickly before you hit that 12-second mark on the duration of it, because Forceful Winds does not reset its duration at all. So you want to try to have as high stacks as possible within that 12-second window. And, you want to have multiple stacks on it before you hit that 12-second mark before you pop it. Or if you're just Wind Fury isn't proccing at the moment for your Forceful Winds, maybe you use Wind Fury Totem to force Wind Fury to proc because you're just getting really bad RNG. That can be a way to utilize it as well. Now, even if we were to move Elemental Blast, let's say we don't run Forceful Winds, all right, this legendary still valuable, still does some nice DPS. We're just going to go right here, and without it, we're going to wait for things to reset, pop it there, and we're going to go get a nice little Stormbringer proc so that we can get multiple hits off of it. Again, lasts for 12 seconds, so it's a nice little duration to be able to have, and you're able to have it up pretty consistently. So even without Forceful Winds, Wind Fury attack is still going to be able to do a really nice amount of damage, because you are going to hit that just a 25% chance increase with a 100% chance for it to proc. So just overall nice way to have consistent damage coming out with a nice DPS cooldown. Now the next legendary is going to be our Stormstrike Ascendance one. This is one of the general ones. Unfortunately, I still don't find this to actually be proccing nearly as much as I feel like it should be. You know, it's an 8% chance to activate Ascendance for 6 seconds, but it really doesn't feel like it procs all that much. Watch, we're going to use it right here and it's going to go off perfectly. Wouldn't that be something? So we're going to jump right into it right away and hope that we can get a proc within a decent amount of time, because otherwise this will take a really long time. They've actually had to buff this legendary. This used to be a 5% chance to proc Ascendance, and it is now an 8% chance, and it's still just not, you know, you're not getting a lot out of it. Now, eventually, if we are able to get 2 legendaries available to us, you might be able to get some use out of this one, because there is a legendary that resets Stormstrike. There we go. We got a proc out of it. So that's good stuff. One of the nice things about it is that you can proc Ascendance while you're in Ascendance, and it will continue the duration from where it is. And during this time, if you get lucky, you could even re-proc the legendary while you're in this Ascendance form and extend the duration even further. So the other really nice thing about it actually is that when you do get the proc from it, you actually do also activate the damage, the AoE damage burst that comes with Ascendance. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're gonna get another proc out of it, so we'll just cut that there. But you know, it's a nice extra window of DPS. It's just too RNG dependent on making it happen from Stormstrike. But if you were to be so lucky, it's a really nice one. Those of you that remember it from Legion, it was really strong in Legion. You used it all the time, and you were able to be in Ascendance form like constantly. So it was pretty nice, but it was definitely a little busted. Now we're going to go into the next one. This is another one of our general ones. This is casting Chain Heal. Makes your next Chain Lightning instant cast and deal 50% increased damage. Casting Chain Lightning makes your next Chain Heal instant cast and consume no mana. So this one is one that, you know, some people feel like, oh, this is really cool. And I'm not really sure how I feel about it personally, just because it's kind of a weird one to have. But, you know, it's just a general one. Now, that being said, if we hard cast it, you know, that's going to go boom. We're going to be able to use it right away. And then we're going to just be able to go back and forth with it, back and forth with it, back and forth with it. You know, if you really wanted to go for like a full utility type possible gameplay for your Mythic Plus groups, you could, where you just are Chain Healed, Chain Lightning, on and off nonstop. That is something that you could do. The buff does last for 20 seconds. So, you know, it is definitely something that you could make available. Does a nice all right amount of damage. However, it's not getting benefit of Maelstrom Weapon, so it's actually doing less damage than a Maelstrom Weapon Chain Lightning would do. However, it's both of them are instant cast and are just able to go one after another as much as possible if you really want it to. So, you know, for those of you who like that nice duality of being a hybrid contribution utility in that Mythic Plus or even raid scenario, go for it. Not my cup of tea for a legendary, but that's all right. It can be for others. Now, our next legendary, Bloodlust or any similar effect, lasts an additional 20 seconds on you, and you gain an extra 10% haste from any Bloodlust type effect. Now, unfortunately, for those of you that are wondering, this does not apply to Nagia's Soulbind benefit, even though that is a similar effect. However, it is not a Bloodlust specific based ability, so that is something that you will not have as well. So we'll just pop Bloodlust here real fast. You can see we end up having it last for 1 minute, so we get Bloodlust for 1 minute and we get a 40% haste increase. So in those scenarios, that could actually be a really nice large DPS window that we have available to us. So definitely something to look at, not anything to sleep on. Having that extra DPS duration window is nice. However, that's a once a fight kind of thing, so not super worth the investment. However, if you utilize it in PvP with Shamanism, where you're able to use Bloodlust every 1 minute instead on yourself, that is a window where it could definitely be far more useful than, say, you know, during a raid where you can only use it once per fight. So definitely a nice, you know, legendary to look at, but not going to have that consistent benefit, you know, because now it's on cooldown for 9 minutes and you can't gain it again. Some people like that idea of it. Meh to me. The next one, this one that I was hoping to be so cool and interesting and make Lava Lash great again. It doesn't. Primal Lava Actuators. Each time Flame Shock deals periodic damage, increase the damage of your next Lava Lash by 12% and reduce the cooldown of Lava Lash by 0.5 seconds. Now, this does make your Lava Lash have a much higher uptime. However, still not worth it. Even if we run it with Hot Hand, which is what we're going to do right here, we're going to pop it right there. You can actually see the cooldown bar tick forward a little bit every single time the Flame Shock does damage. And every time Lava Lash is up, you're gonna have a little bit of damage up to it, but 2k on multiple stacks there. Even with the Hot Hand proc, it's still only gonna hit for about 3k. It's not that much, honestly. Unfortunately, that actually still hits softer than on live client right now. If you were running Primal Primer Lava Lash actually hits harder than legendary level 60 utilization Lava Lash. You know, 4.8k. Hey, that's cool. You can hit for 8k though on live client right now with Lava Lash because of the way Primal Primer works. So it's really unfortunate that this is kind of the way it works. It would probably be a lot cooler if we were able to manually spread or have Lava Lash spread Flame Shock so that you can actually have a really nice short cooldowns coming from your Lava Lash. But it does also have a damage cap out. You're gonna go up to 8 stacks and it caps out at 90% damage increase. So that's another thing that's really unfortunate. They limit the amount of benefit that you can get from it. It doesn't even go up to 10 stacks. That's really lame. So you actually are going to have a lower damage benefit than Primal Primer would, which was able to pretty much double the damage capability of the ability. So again, Lava Lash still just, you know, not cutting it. Still just not a very good option over what everything else is available, even running Hot Hand with that legendary. Would really love for them to do something that makes Lava Lash a decent ability again, you know? I mean, it just isn't there right now. So would really hope that they buff it in the future. Would be really nice. Now, going on from that legendary, frick, we took it down. We are going to have our Earth Elemental. This is another one of the generic ones. Earth Elemental has a permanent earthquake attached to it. So this one will speak for itself pretty simply. We're just gonna, you know, come over here, put a dot on, and we're gonna summon the Earth Ellie, and we're gonna see how that earthquake goes. So the earthquake actually, since Earth Ellie lasts for 1 minute, you're actually gonna have some nice earthquake stuff coming out. It looks like it's doing pretty decent. That actually does a really nice amount of AoE damage for you, and could definitely be a nice DPS boost in a Mythic Plus, an AoE scenario. However, that's only going to be once every, you know, 5 minutes. So 4 minutes of downtime on that, but it's still nice to see them try to do something that's, you know, unique for Earth Elemental, try and make it valuable. You know, we're at 40 seconds down and it's, you know, it's done 57,000 damage. You know, it's definitely doing a nice amount of AoE damage. But on a single target, you know, you're only going to have that thing hit around 800 max on a crit right now. So definitely not really worth the cooldown for a single target cooldown for sure. But if you're someone who finds that you're using Earth Elemental a lot in your dungeon groups, first of all, that's probably a problem. But then, you know, maybe that would be something that you could see being useful. Overall, though, it did about 84,000 damage throughout its entire duration. Probably cut that down by about a third to have a realistic single target DPS output. But, you know, nice little unique thing to have added to your Earth Elemental. Just a little something extra for it that any spec is able to utilize. Probably much more beneficial for elemental, since, you know, they get an empowered version of Earth Elemental if they take that talent for it. The next one that we're going to have here is going to be the Elemental Legendary. This is the legendary that comes from Elemental. Dealing direct fire, frost, and nature damage within 10 seconds will increase all damage dealt by 15% for 10 seconds. And this can happen once every 30 seconds. So 33% uptime on it. It's a pretty nice amount of uptime on it that you get a flat 15% damage baseline. There have been some people messing with this one. Haven't seen too much like direct raid testing with it. I've seen it more so utilized in PvP for people trying to hit burst windows with it. If you've watched Clack at all, I know that he's done some testing with it to try and make some really interesting macros for it. But unfortunately, as you can see here, Flame Tongue weapon does not actually count as direct fire damage, so you do have to manually use Lava Lash or Flame Shock in order to apply the buff. Now, that being said, that's not the best way to apply it. The most direct, easiest way to apply it in a single go of an ability is going to actually be, we're going to wait for it to drop right here. We're actually going to get out of combat, is actually through Elemental Blast, because Elemental Blast does a fire, frost, and nature damage ability. So you're actually able to directly activate it through Elemental Blast. So if you're DPSing and you want to get a nice little burst window once you, and since Elemental Blast can be, you know, activated immediately with your Maelstrom weapon, you can just go boom, you're going to have it. All right. So it's really nice. We actually, unfortunately, procced it there. While Elemental Blast was coming up, we hit 3 different abilities. So really, you're going to be able to have it come up at any time. It's kind of risky if you want to try and control when it happens. You know, that means you have to not hit either of your shocks or Lava Lash during that window of time. And that can be kind of tough to do and stay away from. But we're going to do it right here. We're going to hit it. Boom. It comes up. You've now got 15% increased damage for another 10 seconds. So, you know, if you're able to get that window, you know, even Lava Lash with Hot Hand is able to hit up around 3k again with that nice flat 15% damage buff. So, you know, it could be a nice little thing to look at in terms of having a 10-second window every 30 seconds where you just get a flat damage steroid. Definitely not something to completely disregard or, you know, not consider. We got 2 more coming out, and these are probably 2 of the other most commonly looked at legendaries, aside from Doomwinds. And the first one is going to be Legacy of the Frost Witch. Consuming 5 stacks of Maelstrom weapon will reset the cooldown of Storm Strike and cause your next Storm Strike to deal 15% increased damage. All right, that's a really nice legendary for this. You're definitely going to want to run Elemental Assault with it, along with Storm Flurry. You are going to be Storm Striking like a madman with this. It really does. So for those of you who have been playing Enhancement Shaman since BFA and Legion, this will be the most resemblant gameplay style that you would be used to based on your time in the game since then. Every time you spend the 5 stacks, boom, it's right there. And then every single time that you Storm Strike, you generate another stack of Maelstrom. So you're actually going to be constantly generating Maelstrom stacks while resetting your Storm Strike. You know, we're constantly getting back up to those 4 stacks right away, resetting Storm Strike, going, and it's kind of just insane how much uptime you're going to have on it overall, especially if you're able to get those Stormbringer procs alongside it. Now, you will still hit dead patches, but having that Storm Strike generate a Maelstrom weapon stack is really crucial, especially if you're able to get those Stormbringer procs, because that is just going to keep resetting the cooldown for you over and over and over and over and over. And you're going to have Storm Strike up really frequently. Now we're sitting on the 4 stacks here. This is a really good example. You're able to go for as long as 6 seconds without getting a Maelstrom weapon proc. You will hit dead time patches, but as you can see right now, we're actually getting, we got 3 really consistent procs of it in a row, and we were able to get multiple Storm Strikes off repeatedly in between 3 continuous Maelstrom weapon spenders, just resetting Storm Strike over and over and over. That was bad. That's the one thing you have to watch out for, is that you don't use Storm Strike, you know, when you get a Stormbringer proc, when you also go to spend this, because then you waste the cooldown of it. So that is something that you definitely have to watch out for. But this is what your DPS breakdown will end up looking like. You're just going to be a Storm Strike machine coming out of it. Much more representative of how the gameplay's been the last 4 years for the class, with just using Storm Strike as much as possible. I'm personally not a fan of it, but this is definitely going to be the way to get the most damage out of your Storm Strike, and is probably one of the more common single target playstyles that is available right now. Now, the very last legendary is one that I want to be good because it is so interesting to me, and that is that Witch Doctor's Wolf Bones increase your chance to gain a stack of Maelstrom Weapon by 3%. And whenever you gain a stack of Maelstrom Weapon, the cooldown of Feral Spirits is reduced by 2 seconds. Now, with the way this functions, if you run Elemental Spirits, that means dropping Ascendants. I know it's a crazy, crazy world and idea to think about doing that. You actually are able to get near like about 80% uptime on your Elemental Spirits, because your Elemental Spirits also generate Maelstrom Weapon stacks. So you're actually going to be generating constant Maelstrom Weapon while you're DPSing on a fight. And so, you know, normally this is a 1.5 minute cooldown. We're already down halfway on its duration for its cooldown, and it's just getting faster, faster, faster. You know, it's really quickly dropping. You're actually able to see it tick as it goes. And you are actually able to end up having wolves up really frequently. Unfortunately, it's still an RNG cooldown because you don't know what wolves you're going to get from Elemental Spirits. Blizzard, really, it would be nice if they gave us a way to control what kind of Elemental Spirit we got. It would even be really easy for them to do. The next time you use Elemental Spirits, you get 2 spirits based on the last element that you used. Now, you used a fire ability, boom, you get fire wolves. You used a nature ability, you get nature wolves. You used a frost ability, you get frost wolves. It would be a really simple thing for them to do, to be able to give us some control over something that our RNG based class does, you know. But, you know, we're able to have these wolves up really frequently as it currently stands. It's just, we don't know what we're going to get out of them. You know, we don't know if we're going to get Storm Strike wolves. We don't know if we're going to get lava wolves to increase our fire spell damage, which also increase our elemental blast damage. We don't know if we're going to get ice wolves for those really nice haste windows. We just don't know. It's a complete turn of fate for our class in terms of what's going to happen. You know, we're dependent on Stormbringer procs, on Hot Hand procs, on Wind Fury procs, on Maelstrom Weapon procs. We are probably the most proc RNG base dependent class there is. And now even our DPS cooldowns from a talent choice is RNG, because we don't know what we're going to get out of it. It's really lame that they put that much RNG hard baked into a class, because it makes it difficult to be consistent in terms of performance. And it's probably why they have such a difficult time trying to balance us for anything, and why, you know, we're either kicking ass all the way at the top or all the way down at the bottom. Very rarely do you find us, like, you know, kind of in the middle. But as you can see, you know, even then, Elemental Spirits, Spirit Wolves, even with their recent buff, you know, we got off multiple Elemental Spirits there. It still only does about 25k damage over multiple uses of them. The damage that the wolves themselves do is still really low, and this is with a 250% damage increase that they got recently, and they still only do about 25k damage across multiple cooldowns. Really not much of a DPS cooldown still, so that's where that Doom Wind still comes into play. So those were all of the legendaries that we have available in terms of DPS cooldowns. There are a bunch of other, like, really random generic legendaries that every class has, that are just weird gimmicky ones. A lot of them have like Maw related effects to them. but these were the 9 main legendaries that we have available. Doomwinds right now is by far the go-to because it gives you not only the most burst, but also a consistent DPS cooldown. However, in like single target rating as well, the Storm Strike legendary for resetting the Storm Strike on 5 Maelstrom consumption is also a really popular used legendary at the moment. I would love to see them find a way to make Lava Lash be viable. I really would like a fire build. I miss Lava Lash being a nice hard-hitting ability personally. But other than that, I don't know how many others there are that are really that interesting or fun to use. Lava Lash was one of the ones. The Ascendance one is tricky because you make the chance too high, you're gonna be at Ascendance all the time, and that's gonna be, hey, you're taking this legendary no matter what because you're gonna be in Ascendance form constantly. But you know, 8% chance to activate Ascendance off of Storm Strike doesn't seem to be up that much, so it's still also not really the best one as it currently stands, especially since Ascendance, it only lasts for 6 seconds. You know, you're in that form for a very, very, very small amount of time. So definitely something, and you don't know when it's going to happen. Like it's another RNG, more RNG, baby, RNG. Enhancement Shaman, that's our staple, RNG. All right, we live and die by it. So those are the legendaries that are available for us, guys. I really hope that, you know, they make this available to people on PTR so people can test out the legendaries that they want, because it's going to be difficult for people to test these legendaries beforehand. But, you know, that is what it is. That's how it was with Legion. You know, we didn't get to really test the legendaries then. It was trial and error, but we didn't have to craft our legendaries back then. So definitely something to watch. I hope you liked this video, and let me know which legendary is your favorite one and which one you think would be really fun or cool to use in the comments below. If you like this video, definitely drop us a subscription because it's free and it helps us out, and I would really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you can find us on Twitch at twitch.tv/zav_, and we'll try to come back with another video soon. Let us know also what kind of video you want to see next for Enhancement Shaman, and I'll see if I can do it. Thanks, and see you in the maw. Peace.